It turns out I had minimalism pretty much all wrong for the past 3 years. Let me explain. I'm sure most of you relate with this, but I would declutter over and over again. I would go through my stuff, take some of it out, declutter. I would feel like I was in a better spot, but then a couple months down the road, I would feel like I was right back to where I started, not just with my physical stuff, but with everything else going on in my life as well. Over the past 6 months, I've kind of had, I think, 3 really realizations that changed the way I think about minimalism. I think about my stuff, I think about my time, and that's really allowed me to get out of that cycle that I was in and start to get my home really clutter-free and kind of the way I want it to be, and also get rid of a lot of the clutter in my life so I can really focus on the things that are important to me. My first kind of mistake was looking at minimalism as a goal. I feel like this is what a lot of people do. They think, once I achieve this, I will be happy. Once I have this amount of stuff in my house, I'll be happy. Once I have more freedom, less responsibilities, leave my job, whatever it is, I'll have achieved what I set out to achieve and I'll be able to enjoy things. But I've kind of realized that minimalism is not really a goal. It's not something you achieve. It's more of like a habit, a lifestyle change. So when I thought of this as a goal, one of my first kind of mistakes that I would make a lot is I would get rid of a bunch of stuff, but then eventually things would start to build back up. Like I would get rid of a bunch of knickknacks, but then because I had empty space in my home, I would feel like I could fill it. I would be like, I got rid of a bunch of clothes, so if I want to get a few more shirts, that's fine. If I want to get a few more extra this or that, that's okay because I have space for it now. But because I did that and that would compound over a lot of time, I would end up pretty much in the same boat I was at a couple months later. So I went from this kind of 7-day challenge or 30-day challenge style of minimalism that I'm just gonna go through, get my house to where it needs to be, and then I'll be a minimalist, and really started to realize that that's not really what it's about. Like, yes, that's a good way to get to a starting point, but this is a long-term process. This is a lifestyle change. It's setting up systems. It's really stopping the influx of stuff coming into your home is really the first step before you do all the other stuff. Like, you can declutter all you want, but if you don't change the systems behind how you got cluttered in the first place, it's just gonna keep happening. So that's when, kind of more over this last 6 months, that I started to create habits and more long-term lifestyle changes than really goals. Kind of like a diet, where if you just diet really hard and go to the gym for a month, you might see some results, but if you don't do that for the next 5 years, it's not really gonna make any difference at all, and you might as well, like, you're just wasting your time. So that's what I started to do, where I started with just simple things, like pretty much never going to the mall or the thrift store or outlets, and getting rid of Amazon off my phone, taking 5 minutes before bed every night to clean up my house. All these different things that none of them are really that big or that impressive, starts to create a lifestyle shift. By the way, if you guys are getting some value, it would mean a lot if you would subscribe and turn on notifications, because even if you're subscribed, sometimes you could never see a video again. So I put a lot of effort into making sure that everything I put out hopefully brings a lot of value. I compared myself with other people. I think this is something that probably a lot of us go through. When I started, I was watching Matt D'Avella and listening to podcasts and watching other people, and really had all this idea of what minimalism looks like, but I don't have white walls, and I have 4 ways of making coffee, and I have a couple different pairs of shoes because I actually play sports, and we have a wall full of books because my wife is not a minimalist. And it took me a while to stop really kind of feeling like an imposter, feeling like I needed to go more extreme, when you actually realize that minimalism isn't about any of those things. It's about doing the right thing for you and your family. You don't have to have this picture perfect thing. For somebody, having 100 possessions might be what's right for them. For you, it might be 1,000 possessions. Some people live in a small apartment. Other people live in a house. Some people live with a minimalist or by themselves, and other people have people who aren't minimalists living with them. And there's a balance there, and you don't always have to feel like you didn't make it, or you're a failure, or you're whatever, because you don't have this picture perfect house or life or family or whatever. It's gonna be different for everybody. And ultimately, once I started to realize that and stop feeling guilty about different things, that's when I really started to make progress, and realizing for me, it's really about freedom. So, forget about everybody else. So this is when I realized that I was kind of doing minimalism backwards. Like, when I went through and decluttered stuff, or I was looking at my life, I was looking at things to get rid of. And that could be a good thing, honestly, but when you go through maybe your closet and you get rid of 10% of stuff, the stuff that you don't wear, that is a good thing. But if you can shift that around, which was something that was really powerful for me, and look for what are those things that I really want to hang on to, looking at the positives. What are, my favorite clothes that I would love to wear every single day, the things that really mean a lot to me.
And for me, those clothes are Cuts. They're actually a sponsor of mine. They've just launched a women's line, which is super exciting. Meredith has a few shirts. They're just really high quality shirts. I've been wearing them exclusively for a couple years. They just fit really well. I've never had one wear out and I just love wearing them every day. If you guys want to check them out, you can get 15% off at the link down in the description.
And letting that be the barometer, instead of looking for things to get rid of, you're looking for things to keep. And if you can't make a really good argument to keep something, then you have to let that go. And when I really started to look at things this way, it made choices a lot easier. I actually had a couple different side projects going on, and I realized that the thing that I really like the most and enjoy the most, and I think helps the most people, is YouTube. So I shut down those other side projects because yes, while I did have space in my life and I enjoyed those other things, they aren't what is most important to me, and I want to have more time to spend on the things that are really important. I wanted to make sure I have time to spend with my daughter and I don't have extra stuff going on. And then I started to go through everything else in my house and look for a reason to hang on to stuff instead of a reason to let go of it. And for me, that one kind of mindset shift made my minimalist journey kind of a lot more simple. Hopefully this helps some of you guys. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little notification thing so you don't miss future videos, and I'll see you next week.